Dum dum da da. Village Idiom.
Hello and welcome to the Village Idiom.
We are a podcast that each week chooses a popular saying to take a shallow but hopefully comedic / maybe interesting dive into its meaning, its usage, its origins, but we'll also string it together to form our conversation, which otherwise would have just been directionless. I am Jurassic Mark.
I'm Skinny, and today we have special guest with us today, the African Queen.
You, otherwise known as Skinny's mama.
That's my mom. Yeah, it's so good to have you. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. Thank you for
So no mama
me.
jokes today. I guess I'll bite my tongue.
I'm very connected with my mother.
Yeah, it's great. I love that. I know that about you. I
So-
love your mom.
Yeah, that's nice. What am I supposed to say? She's here. It's like you
Exactly.
you volleyed up a perfect something for me to spike, and then
My favorites have been in the past. You've sent me an email or whatever, and
What?
And he's like
Like
she's
this-
messaging you. What?
Yeah,
Like the son she
had to
never
stop.
had.
I had to stop.
That's good. Well, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. I was really excited when he said you were going to join us for this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Good.
So as we get in kind of today's subject, before we dive too deep, how would you describe our relationship?
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Oh,
See?
that's the right answer.
I know it's one of those things that because you know I used to like live with you
Yeah.
back in the day.
Everybody did. Not your
No,
mom,
no,
but with their
There were a
mom.
few.
With their respective mothers.
There were
Hello.
a few. There were a few.
You're
We're
not my
not-
real dad.
We're not going to digress now.
No, we'll leave that up to your
So what
discretion.
is it that we are actually talking about today anyway?
Well, why don't we start with this or this?
I wonder where Dr. Lorvis is. He's been gone a while.
Maybe he's playing bingo with his mommy.
Sad how some guys can't cut the apron strings.
There you go. Cutting the apron strings.
That's fun.
And what better idiom to have Skinny's mom here?
I told him he's not allowed to break up with me online.
Yeah, I know. Even
Live.
off the air, you said, I think he might be breaking up with me. He's going to cut the apron strings. You said that is absolutely not allowable.
No, not
No,
going to happen.
what would that even look like?
And
in
I'm
this
not even
case?
interested. Little like my childhood. I know for all of you who are interested. I had the house where my mom like made my bed. She cleaned my room. Not as a child. I'm talking till I was like in my 20s.
Is this true? Is this all true?
It is true.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
But
goodness.
it's
Did he
not-
have chores at all?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
We had
okay.
a chore jar. Yeah, we did.
Which didn't include his own bed.
Well, you know, when they were younger, I didn't seem to mind it so much. But when he was the last one, I had to kind of hang on to that. And
Okay,
part of
so
it
he's
was
the
because
baby.
I'm the only one who can do things right. That was part of my control issues. And the other
got it.
part was spoiling him.
So what would his chores have been?
We had a jar, so everybody had
He had
equal.
to clean the one jar every week.
No.
We were really poor, but we had one jar.
We
Yeah, we had
shared.
one jar, and everybody
Rotated.
drew the chores out of that. So you might be vacuuming one week, you might be dusting one
So
week.
overall house stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, got
Yeah.
it.
Other
So
than
the
that,
usuals.
That was just so they get their allowance and stuff.
So if he was the last one in the house, was
I'm an only child as well, so
You are not.
did he take on more chores when the siblings disappeared?
All that when they turned teenagers, that was out the window. Yeah.
All the chores were out the window.
Pretty much.
Oh, see, so I'm not the only one with my teenagers.
But to his credit, he can sew, he can cook, he can clean.
Oh.
So he's got it.
Well,
all.
we've mentioned it a few times that he has actually sewn me a pair of pants.
Yes, I saw
Back
that
in the day.
episode. And he sewed their Halloween costumes for him and his wife one year.
Oh, wow. Look at
oh,
this.
yeah, all these sorts of things. But
Have you ever sewn an apron together?
no, probably the most elaborate thing I did was for my wife. It wasn't. It was before we were married. I sewed her bridesmaid dress for a wedding she was in.
Oh, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, that's probably the most elaborate.
So, did he learn that from you?
Well, me and home ec.
Yeah, but you sew. You
Yes, I
you
do.
that kind. Okay, okay.
She's very crafty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in
she's
more ways than one.
Have you ever made an apron?
Yes, in grade 8.
Oh yeah.
I did. Yes.
She's the mom who does like the painting, the trichem, the pottery,
Wow.
the baking, the like all the cooking type stuff. Yeah, she's like the super mom. So there's no incentive to self-cut your own strings.
No.
But I can't throw a ball or run, so.
Oh, neither can he.
I get that from her as well.
I've seen him throw a ball. I've never seen him run.
Apple didn't fall far from the tree there. Yeah.
Well, I guess if you threw an apple, he might run.
It was not for an apple. Not for an apple.
Exactly.
It was, but the setup, the next phase of life comes in when marriage and all the rest of that, and everything changed when the Fire Nation came. In the words of the Last Airbender.
Oh,
when I got married,
I'm unfamiliar with this.
all of this came to a crashing halt.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, that was
a mother and a wife are apparently two different things. Yeah. So
we're not going to get into the origins yet, but obviously, cutting the apron strings definition is when I looked it up, I was surprised by the wording, but I wrote down one of them: wholly dependent on or controlled by a woman, especially one's mother or wife. So that if you're still hanging on to the apron strings or tied by the apron strings, you're still dependent on mom.
yeah.
And now wife.
You just someone will transfer it over, but those things all changed.
So I've got 3 children. One is out of the house. What was that like having kids leave?
Very difficult.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
I had a great time.
You do for a little while, but then after a while it sinks in and you feel pretty lonely. Yeah.
Well, I remember thinking, speaking of cutting the apron strings, my oldest, when they were 12, 13, maybe even a little bit younger, pre-thinking about it and being like, oh no, like that's going to be terrible when they leave. But then when real life hits, it's quite gradual because first it's school or job and they're away a little bit more, and then he got married and left, and you're like, that's not that different. He might be here more doing his laundry and
exactly.
More purposeful.
Yeah. So when the last one left, so Skinny's the youngest.
The upside of that is once they leave, you no longer have to. You don't have to cook. You don't have to do laundry when you don't want to. You
I
don't
didn't have to do that either.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so you have more options as a I'm going to say a single adult.
Free.
Yeah.
With more freedom to eat when you want or what you
Yep.
want or whatever.
Yeah. No more gagging at the table or any of those things.
Eat your green stuff.
she used to do are you familiar with Harvard Beets?
Only,
you guys talked about it
yeah,
once.
we've talked about it on here.
Yes.
It was a Riddling.
Yeah, that was my nemesis as a child.
Oh, I see.
Liver and or Harvard Beets.
I remember liver. Like, have you ever done liver for your kids now?
No. Not
Yeah,
once.
why did we have liver?
But I enjoy
'Cause
pate.
it's cheap.
Is that why?
Absolutely. My mom, when she was young, her mother would send her to the butcher for liver for the cat.
There was, for those just listening, there were air quotes there for the cat.
Yeah, and then she would take it home and feed it to the family because it was really inexpensive, and it's fairly inexpensive now. You just have to. I grew up on organ meat, so it doesn't matter to me. I love liver.
So yeah, because you only see it on the seniors menu. Like it's still there on some restaurants, but it's only on the 60+ menu.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I
In
remember
expensive restaurants, you'll get like chicken livers and things in expensive
Like
restaurants.
foie gras.
No, that's goose liver.
Yeah. Well,
Still liver.
It's still,
It is.
This
It's
liver, or
delicious if
pâtés
it's prepared properly.
So do you like liver?
I love it.
Really?
Yeah, I had some a couple weeks ago.
Can't get enough of it.
So you would have to just fake that you're old enough to order from that part of the menu.
No. No, not at all. I'm proud of my age.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So was there a moment with him specifically? Because people who are listening want to know.
He was.
Tell us. So I was going to ask if it
interesting
was hard
kid.
for him to leave, but let's hear the interesting kid part.
Why are we doing that?
My friends, when we talk about these kind of things, tell me I should write a book because he was creative.
Give us
and,
the Skinny.
See?
Yeah.
Creative.
Yes.
That's what she says.
You know, there's
Special.
lots of little things. I would find actually the nights that we had liver, like I was not the best in the way single mom, I would get them dinner and then I would eat and I'd get up and start, doing things around the house, vacuuming while they're finished.
Right.
And then I'd go in and go to clean and wonder what is this stuff behind the china cabinet leg? And it would be like Brussels sprouts or
No
whatever
way.
and liver. I would find liver in his pockets when I turned them out to do the laundry. He would do anything just not to have to eat it.
That's amazing.
But him and his sister both like liver sausage.
Does that taste different? There's got to be a spice happening there, though, right?
Yeah, it's liver sausage pate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that stuff, but just liver by itself, I don't know. It's just the psychological.
Isn't pate just raw beef?
No, it's liver. It's goose liver.
Is it?
It's liver, you moron.
Well, this is how much I know about pate. Mr. Bean ordered it on one episode. It just looked like raw ground beef to me.
No, it's not. Anyway, yeah. So he did lots of crazy little things, you know. I should have written a book. I always say if I wrote a book about my life, my grandchildren wouldn't be able to read it. So,
if he got in trouble, did he get punishment?
usually grounded.
Because the baby.
I'll give you the worst grounding story for him.
Okay, good.
I come home. I came home from work and my kitchen sink is overflowing.
It's the
water.
liver.
The water is just a trickle from the tap.
Okay.
And I'm like, Vincent, where are you? Because I could hear the dog outside, and the dog's supposed to be inside. And this little tiny boy says, I'm up here. And he'd forgotten his key, and he had climbed up on the roof and couldn't get into his room and couldn't get down.
So was stuck on the roof.
And they had forgotten he was mecking about, so he was hoping to get home in time before me after work to get those dishes finished, but the rag got stuck in the drain hole.
Okay.
And it filled up and overflowed the sink. And of course, all my cupboards were cheap particle board, so they all swole up.
Yeah.
I was really mad. Hauled him through his bedroom window.
So he didn't do the rag, though. It's just that he couldn't get in.
Well, between him and his sister, and they're quarreling. If one didn't do their part, the other couldn't do their part.
Right.
So, yes, I was the worst. There was probably a grounding
you
for
were
that.
hiding on the roof, or
Not anymore. Yeah,
trying to avoid trouble, or you were actually trying to get in?
I was trying to get in.
Yeah. How old would you been?
I don't know.
It's about
Like
11 or
19.
12. No, it's about 11 or 12.
Yeah, it's one of those funny kid things.
Yeah.
I try to think of like people in either cartoons or television or these types of things that are tied by the apron strings. And my mind went in a couple of directions. One was with Heat Miser and Snow Miser from the Year Without a Santa Claus.
Vaguely.
It's
recalling
their mother
this.
is Mother Nature, and so when she calls for them, like boys, and then they're you remembering any of this?
No, not at all.
And so they're very obedient to her because she's Mother Nature, but they're still kind of like still willful,
Okay.
as opposed to say like Norman Bates.
Right. I thought of Norman Bates. That
Norman-
one came up.
Norman Bates is a little tied to
That yeah, like
he was tied to the
you said, until your last dying breath. Not for him.
it was her,
Yes.
it's cut the apron strings. He just took that to a whole new level.
Yes, he forgot to stop cutting.
So there's
He
that.
was still tied to her apron strings.
He can try and cut them, but I do know how to sew. So
Yeah, there you go.
That's funny. So where does this goofy phrase even
Well, just
come from?
speaking of characters,
Sure.
and that clip we didn't actually say was from Big Bang Theory, and that's Howard talking about character played by oh man, what's his name? Billy Bob Thornton. But talking about cutting the apron strings when they're all mocking him, laughing because Howard lived with his mother
Right.
forever and ever. Which, did they ever, I don't know how much you watch this show, but did they ever show his mom or just her voice? Howard!
I wasn't
Not into it.
a fan.
I don't think we ever see her in the however many seasons, 8, 9 seasons.
I haven't seen her.
Anyway, yeah, same thing. So, let's get into it. Sorry, I'm ill-prepared here. Here we go.
Let's do it.
How come
Let's just play that audio clip.
I'm playing it? It's playing. Can you hear it?
Pretty sure it's not played.
It's not, is it?
No.
Stall. We can edit this in post, which we have never done.
3, 2, 1. Origin.
Said some words, where'd they go? Where'd they go? No one can know. I turned around and looked behind. Those words came from another mind.
There we go. All right, well, we know what it means and how it's used. I had Norman Bates written in there too, so he beat me to that. But the history of it is actually pretty, it's hardly a metaphor, really. It comes from back in the era where women typically were more, had the kitchen role more than men, and apron was a normal thing. And so kids running around hanging on, especially the more clingy kids, were hanging on to the back of the apron because mom's busy in the kitchen. So some learned to stand and walk and whatnot by hanging on to the apron strings. And once you were independent and able to walk, you let go of the apron strings. But another thing they said, sometimes they made the apron strings quite long for that purpose, so that the mom could be busy, but the child wouldn't wander off. So it's actually tied to the kid.
Okay,
for safety reasons.
So on that note, the kind of the paradigm is whose responsibility, or who
cuts it?
What percentage of the cutting is done by who?
Well,
is it mom cutting, or is it the son or daughter releasing?
It's like the umbilical cord situation.
Well, you just gnaw it off.
I was just going to say, you just chew right through that thing.
Tastes like liver.
I think it probably, if it's the literal sense of the word, it's probably the kid who just kind of lets go. But some kids just, I work with children, and some kids that separation from their parents is an unbelievable reaction. They can't do it. It takes years.
Yeah, now, is that a messed up part from mom or dad? But mom.
Sure, mom's here. Let's blame her.
Guilty. I don't know if this totally applies, because in the definition it's control of, and
right.
I have no control of Vince. So if there's apron strings, they now belong to Deb.
Right. So he's not wholly dependent on you, but
No.
your relationship is tight, that you can joke about still being tied to the apron strings.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's a much better situation.
But you know that, like Howard's mom who controlled everything
Right.
in Big Bang Theory. When my daughter got married, she was very distinctively telling me, in my marriage, in my life, you have no opinion. And I've always held to that, because it's really good advice. You only give opinions when you're asked, and then you stay in good grace with your in-law children.
Huh.
Yeah, so
That's a good
That's
one.
good advice.
Yeah, we've never had any of those types of things. We had a great relationship with Deb, and like we've all lived together communally and happy and all of these things. So yeah, that
I've lived long enough to be a burden to my children.
Nice. I live with my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm loosely tied. It's more of a,
tied to her what?
I don't
And
know.
moving right along.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Well, I think that part is on the parental side, whether insert mother, insert father, to like start the cutting, like to get the cutting going, because when the nest is so comfortable, why leave?
Right.
But it's like I'm fed,
Which is
I'm
why you have
taken
these
care of.
30-year-olds playing video games in the basement. And,
Right, it's
yeah.
that Matthew McConaughey failure to launch, where it's like there is no incentive to leave this place,
Right.
until the parents are like, so like that parental goal of like, I'm doing you wrong if I don't.
When did you move out?
23,
Did you pay rent?
24.
Never.
No,
Not
not
to me.
not moms.
I
things
think
changed.
that's partial incentive. We started charging rent if they weren't in school.
Yeah,
They paid rent
for the year before,
and
I
they
was
think, I might as well
married.
move out. Yeah,
Sounds good.
try that.
Have fun.
I think you'll find rent is quite reasonable here.
They have no idea on the hidden costs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get buried. But I did pay my dad. And it wasn't one of those scenarios where like people like,
And you didn't even live with him.
oh yeah, for the like the year before I got married, I lived with my dad.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. And so
He charged rent.
yeah, but you know, like you hear those scenarios is like, oh, I'm going to charge him, but secretly I'm going to stash the
That's
money
what you were
away,
hoping for?
and that day never came.
Maybe he's letting it build interest.
Exactly.
Well, let me give you a couple quotes. These are the oldest quotes. One is older than the other, but the newer one is interesting because this is Thomas Babington Macaulay wrote about William of Orange. He said he could not submit to be tied to the apron strings of even the best of wives. But the oldest one that anybody reported on was 1848. So that William of Orange one is 1849. 1848 in Anne Bronte's The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Say that 10 times fast. The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. Even at his age, he ought not to be always tied to his mother's apron string. So I have more to the origins, but I did get inquisitive enough to Wikipedia aprons. Okay. And I don't know if you went down that rabbit trail, but there are a million types of aprons. And it got to the point in some eras, because it's kind of come and gone in, well, both fashion and actual, like, just necessity, depending on people's lifestyles and whatnot. But it got to the point in probably the height of apron wearing time where everybody had aprons and took on a specific look. Like, I'll probably get this wrong, but like butchers wore black aprons, barbers wore red and white stripes, and nurses wore blah, blah, blah. And they all had, like, you looked at an apron, you're like, oh, that's a welder. Oh, that's a...
It's like...
whatever.
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, they all had colors, patterns, or style that was designated to sometimes class and sometimes occupation. So then when it got into like people having maids and whatnot, but there's still a woman at home working, that's when aprons started getting frillier, because it was a sign of, yes, I'm working at home because I choose to. So it had frills on it, like when really they've got a maid wearing a plain white or black or combo thing.
Can you believe her? She tried to wear a frilly apron.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting.
That's not her place.
Let's see here. Okay, so the metaphor, this is I'm going to read this straight out because I thought it was interesting. The metaphor is fairly obvious. 17th century, an apron string hold or an apron string tenure was an actual thing which referred to the property of one's wife. So it was called an apron string tenure, which meant the husband controlled all the property and assets of his wife as long as she lived. But when she passed, it went back to her family. So it's called an apron string tenure, and they think that the usage of the phrase now came from that actual law.
That makes more sense.
And then, just for fun, New York Times, July 12, 1948, Michael Murphy, 42-year-old taxi cab driver, was found slain behind the wheel of a cab on 108th Street, just east of Fifth Avenue, early yesterday morning. The police reported that he had been strangled with a noose fashioned from an apron string.
Is this a thing?
Yeah. Really? July 12, 1948, cab got killed by an apron string. Passenger choked it out.
Wow.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Throw that one in.
I wonder who's on that suspect list.
Yeah. Was it
1948, there was a lot of aprons.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What would you say with your own family when it came up time for you to move out and cutting the apron strings for your own mom and dad?
Oh my goodness. Well, then I moved in with your dad's mom and dad.
Oh, okay.
In the basement suite. And then we moved back to my mom and dad's. Just had my room, and then finally we left on our own. But yeah, that was an interesting situation.
Living with your mother-in-law?
Oh no, I love her to death. That's just yeah, she's amazing. But no, it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean I do remember, like, I was married at 16, so I was very young. But I was probably the only one in that age group that could throw a shower or a party or any of those things, because you have to learn.
So did you throw your own?
No.
Oh.
No. But, like I'd have, back in the days you made fancy little sandwiches and teas and that kind of stuff. Yes. And still do that.
What did you just say?
A Pinafore.
Which is?
It's a little tiny cake.
Oh, okay, because one of the apron names is a Pinafore.
Oh, yeah, Pinafore.
Pinafore.
Yeah, Pinafore.
Which the best example they gave was the blue and white gingham Pinafore that Dorothy wore on the Wizard of Oz. So kind of high, almost overalls looking, but it went almost a full dress. Yeah, that's called a Pinafore.
Right.
That's what you said. I'm like,
no, Pettifore.
I didn't know that.
Pinafore.
Yeah, you'll make them. They're like, it's not a cupcake, but it has.
What's the Pettifore?
It has the It has the qualities of a mini cupcake that are uber designed.
Yeah.
Oh, dessert.
It is a dessert.
Oh, I thought you said sandwich.
No.
I'm so confused right now. What is a Pettifore?
A Pettifore is to eat.
Pettifore, your thoughts?
Oh, that's a Pinafore.
There you go.
All right. Well, that's basically it. The rest was
that's what
repetitive.
What you think about aprons? That's what is that? A penny?
I'll give a Pinafore your thoughts about aprons.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So the other in that failure to launch zone, just to bring it back out full circle, that there is that parent quality to make sure that they're doing their job to let you go.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted to make
That's the cutting. We just untie so that it's still within reach, and it's up to the parent to cut it.
maybe that's a better way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Sort of like the cougar under your arm under the pillow thing, those old days when you'd say if you dated somebody who was really ugly, you'd just slip your arm out from under the pillow. We untied the apron strings, and as the child sort of was wandering along, holding on to them, we just kind of slipped the apron off.
They're dragging an apron
And they're
around.
dragging an empty apron around.
Mom, hey, she's gone.
Exactly.
You're still holding the seat of my bike, right? Nope.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, I think I still depend on my parents every once in a blue moon for something. Feels like they're there to help when.
Oh yeah, and you hear from families that like that's different with people that don't have moved or international and they don't have extra family around. They say, "Oh, must be nice to have like your parents here," and like yeah, it's fantastic. Like my parents are hyper involved in my kids' lives, like a day per week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like one of those fantastic things, an after school type thing to jump in on their lives as needed. Whatever
they're
on.
there.
Yeah.
You've still got a grip on the apron strings.
Yeah.
You're holding them like reins.
Yeah.
No comment. She's like, yeah, pretty much.
She's not resisting. She's
Sign me
just
up.
like, tie them tighter.
Bring me closer. Oh, I love that though. That's great.
Did you come across the cutting the apron strings, the Oedipus Complex?
No.
It's like loving your mother, like probably
Like Norman Bates.
Yeah, that would be a better example. Well, so his is the reverse, which is called a Jocasta complex. It's and her loving him. So if the mom is like in love, weirdly in love with
the newer
with the son.
Norman Bates.
Yeah, the Bates Motel or whatever.
Bates Motel.
yeah, where you're unsure,
You're wondering
what's going on there. Yeah, so there's like the son love of the mother, but then there's a mother son for the love. That's the Jocasta complex. So crazy.
It's weird.
It's not good.
No.
But it doesn't have to be actually in love. It's just that okay, this is maybe too close. Like Norman Bates and his
it's like give
whatever
your
her
mom a
name
kiss.
is.
All right, that's enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
That went on just a little too long.
It's creepy.
All right, before we make the shift,
family, then maybe it's time to cut the apron strings. Let them stand on their own 2 feet because
you can never have too much Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais, is it an Office? Or?
It is Office, yeah, original. Yeah. It's good.
Well, we're heading into the home stretch here. Oh my Lanta, we're gonna need to close this thing up. Let's head into some riddlings.
Well, Riddling is a game we like to play. That is a 2-part trivia-based question that requires a 2-part but overlapping answer, overlapping by sound or syllable or word or words. So, for example, last week our idiom of the week was "fly by the seat of your pants," and the riddling that we left for all our illegitimate children was "This plane was flown by Wrong Way Corrigan and then sung in German by Nina." And you thought you were onto something. Do you remember?
I don't even remember.
It's gone now. So
you had to know the thing at the time.
yeah, the plane that was flown by Wrong Way Corrigan was the Spirit of 6990, and
99
Red Balloons.
that's it. So, but I said in German by Nina, so just for fun, it was Spirit of 6999 Luftballons.
Oh,
There you go.
very good.
Which nobody got the German, but there was a bunch of right answers that came in. So thank you to everyone who played. Yet still, even though we've asked for stories, nothing.
They're waiting to come do them live.
So if you've got a
Exactly.
story about your overbearing mother
I don't.
this week, send us a
Well, not
message.
while I'm-
But that's how you, that's how you play.
In secret.
That's how you play Riddling. Ooh.
Awesome.
Very good. Okay, so let me get one going here. 90s Schwarzenegger hairstyle because he's bound to his mother.
It's a. Do you
Brush
got?
cut?
Yeah.
Brush
Do it.
cut the apron strings?
Yes, very good.
I was gonna say buzz cut, but I guess that's the same thing, isn't it?
It's a brush cut. Yeah. Very nice.
Well,
I have one. Can I try mine?
I'm going to let you go, especially because my first one was this very short army hairstyle.
Oh,
That's exactly the same
that's
one.
funny. Okay, break the ties that bind while enjoying select pieces by Emerson, Bach, or Brahms.
Okay, Cut the Apron Strings.
Strings of Vivaldi?
Nope.
Strings of...
Strings Quartet?
Yes.
Oh, is it?
Nice.
Cut the Apron String Quartet.
Nice. Okay, good. Yeah, I feel accomplished right there. You're the first guest to bring their own Riddling, which
awesome.
tells us A, you're very smart and witty because it takes a genius to play this game, and B, that you listen and play along, which
Yes.
I think the others have been faking it.
I sit at home and go, it's this,
Nice.
to my phone. But nobody's there, just me.
Oh, because he left.
Yeah, because he left.
Thanks. All right. This masculine shearing costs 2 bits because he's tied to his mommy.
What? Say the beginning part.
This masculine shearing costs 2 bits.
It's another haircut.
Shave and a haircut, the Apron Strings.
Oh, of course it is. Shave and haircut, the apron strings.
That's it.
Oh, that's a good one.
You
The
did
2
good.
bits.
Wow.
Did you have a second one in there that you had?
I did.
Well, let's get back to you.
I think you would get this one.
This one's just for skinny. Let's see.
Oh my goodness.
Sever all ties to understand the physics of quantum gravity.
Quantum string theory?
Yes.
Ah, there it is. Cut the apron.
String theory.
String theory.
Very
Okay,
nice.
there it is. Tell everyone how they can get
Make
hold of us.
sure you reach out to us. We love hearing from all of our illegitimate children, and we can be contacted on Instagram at the.village.idiom or via email at thevillageidiompodcast@gmail.com, or whether it's YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook at 3 Minutes Gone.
Beauty. Well, here's one just for the illegitimate children, so nobody answer, but try and guess it in your mind. Here it is. Keep your cloth diaper on with this and wear the same apron as Dorothy Gale.
Okay, there you go. That's a good one. Well, it's been fun putting today together. Thank you so much, African Queen.
Thank you.
I know,
love
seriously.
that.
You're my favorite guest so far.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so
I'm not
much.
even lying.
It's been fun. It's been fun doing it. So make sure you reach out to us. It's been fun putting it together. I am Skinny.
I am Jurassic Blue Gingham Mark.
And I am the African Queen.
And these are the Village Idioms.
I wanna look at the apron string.
That's 3 minutes gone.